Is your interior design lead generation to contract signing funnel actually closing high ticket contracts? Or is it silently leaking your best leads? Ask yourself, do you truly know what a global standard design funnel looks like? And I'm not asking this to be needlessly provocative. I ask because a vast majority of boutique interior design and architecture firms rely on a very ad hoc, a very fragmented process, and it's costing them millions in lost revenue. Let's look at the global macroeconomic reality facing our industry today. Social media is a vanity metric grind. For every 10,000 views your studio gets on Instagram, your average 1 to 2% click through rate is for your profile. And less than 1% will ever make it to your actual website. The leads are never exclusive. The modern high net worth client is risk averse, so they will shop around and interview three, five competing firms before they sign a retainer. Design velocity is the ultimate differentiator. Top performing global firms will aim to transition a qualified prospect from initial discovery call to a formal contract in 7 days, 14 days, max 21 days. And if your process drags out beyond this window, deal goes cold. Generic pitches are dead. In premium professional services, a highly tailored, problem specific portfolio presentation converts at a rate up to 50% higher than the standard generic credentials deck. So, if the traditional portfolio website is broken, how do you really architect a true world class design funnel? A global standard pipeline is engineered to eliminate these friction points by achieving five essential goals, five systematic goals. One, lead velocity, a seamless lead velocity, moving a prospect from cold discovery to post contract signing without a single manual bottleneck. Two, traceable operations, scalable operations. You cannot scale what you can't see. Every interaction must be tracked so that your firm grows by design, not by luck. Data driven analytics, capturing precise user behavior so that you understand your true customer acquisition cost and it can double down on high yield channels. Four, team agnostic stability. If a key project manager or associate he leaves your firm, your pipeline should not stall, your pipeline should not collapse. The system must own the relationship and the leads rather than individual talents, because talent attrition should not ultimately impact active business development. Oh, and five, and maybe most important, centralized institutional alignment. Look, our business is one of chaos, and there's a lot of operational chaos specifically in managing high ticket clients across WhatsApp, scattered emails, disconnected tools, referrals in your head everywhere. And you have to bring it all under one unified workflow. Now, having talked about the problem, let's talk about the distinct seven stages of the global standard funnel. And obviously, let's start with stage one, the pre first look. Premium clients are going to discover your brands in moments of peak interest and peak inspiration, primarily via Instagram or maybe via referrals from your old clients. And this is the time, this initial discovery is when their emotional excitement is at its peak. If they hit friction over here, you will lose them. With a single click, a prospect must be able to escape the noise of social media. You need to pull them away from competing firm ads, their feed, algorithm distraction, notifications, the photographs of their ex girlfriend, whatever it might be, and drop them straight into a dedicated digital property that you can completely control. And once there, the friction must be zero. They should instantly be able to review hyper targeted case studies or fill out a frictionless, seamless, short inquiry. And that brings us to stage two, which is the first look. At this point, they're taking the first look. And this is when they come across the brutal truth of the modern market. Image based portfolios are leaking revenue faster than ever before. Why? Because in the age of generative AI, aesthetic imagery is commoditized. Everyone feels, right or not, but everyone feels that they can create a stunning photorealistic render, and that too in seconds. Your clients believe this, and it's a false belief, but they do believe that they can use AI to design their own properties, and all they need to hire you is for execution. And if your website if your website is just a static grid of pretty images, you're competing with AI and you will lose, unfortunately. To stand out globally, your portfolio must showcase your intellectual capital, not just the final renders, your decisions, not images. Your real value is not the pixel, it's the strategic, the structural, the very human decisions that solves complex architectural problems and results in renders. In an AI saturated world, your positioning and how you position yourself must shift away from being a vendor of creativity to an empathetic oracle who can understand what their real problems are. You have to sell the deep mastery of human behavior, of spatial optimization, and of flawless technical execution. The third stage, that's the second look. High ticket design clients are rarely going to retain a firm on the first visit. They're going to leave, they're going to consult their partners, and then they'll return to re scrutinize your work. The single biggest flaw in boutique design studios at this stage is absolute data blindness. When a prospect revisits your site, do you know exactly what project images they're analyzing? Do you know what portfolio are they most interested in? Do you know which case studies caught their eye? Do you know which ones have they shared with somebody else? Do you know which design typologies are generating the highest dwell time? Without built-in portfolio level interaction analytics, your and by extension your business is flying completely blind. And one characteristic, a key characteristic I should say, of a global standard funnel is one that tracks this data natively. It allows you to optimize your presentation for the future based on today's user intent and user metrics. Finally, we hit stage 4. First contact and lead qualification. The moment a prospect makes up their mind, they typically hit your studio from every direction. They're going to reach out to you on Instagram DMs, on your WhatsApp, on your website form, on direct email, and maybe directly through phone as well. And this is where manual operational chaos begins. As a founder or a design director or a principal, do you have a system that guarantees every single inbound lead receives the same exact high touch institutional intellect and follow up? Or does your brand depend entirely on how busy your team is that morning? Equally importantly, do you have absolutely visibility of your pipeline data? Can you see the types of leads that are coming in by city, by property type, by budget tier, the exact project images they shared with your team? If your lead intelligence is trapped in individual WhatsApp chats or scattered text threads, you don't have a scalable long term thinking business. You've got a chaotic, highly stressful manual job. And centralizing this data is the single most important step in executing a predictable path to a signed contract. Otherwise, you won't be scalable. And this brings us to stage 5, knowing your customer, the discovery framework. This is the exact stage that plants the seed for either a world class project delivery or a miserable, unprofitable failure. It dictates whether your project finishes on schedule or faces scope creep down the line. Most firms stop asking at the basic level of simple requirements like what's your budget, what is your aesthetic preference, can you share the floor plan, some images from Pinterest that you might have liked, and that's it. But in the high tech enterprise space, this is insufficient. Exceptional firms capture 5 distinct categories of client data. The fundamentals, this is the core resident demographic. This is the ultimate functional goals for them, the reason why they bought the property. 2, aesthetics. Of course, you'll ask them about specific stylistic preferences. Balance them against vetted financial boundaries, but you will ask them. Then the priorities. What are the specific performance attributes that they value most? Do they want low maintenance? Do they want high sustainability? Do they want green? Do they want Instagram worthy? Do they want something for entertaining? What are their primary lifestyle use cases? Do they have kids, elderly adults? And that brings us to their eccentricities or their personality driven factors, their personal psychographics, their daily rituals, their unique lifestyle habits. Finally, we have the cautions. which is the absolute no goes or emotional deal breakers. It could be items which they just don't want, which will destroy the sanctity of their home. Building this explicit framework early gives your firm two massive advantages. First, it acts as a strict qualifying filter. It weeds out problem clients before you even onboard them. And second, it establishes the exact objective metrics by which your clients will judge the success of your projects months down the line. If you want to dive deeper into these specific discovery frameworks, check out the Immaculate Deep Dive video on client onboarding. Next is stage six, the site visit. This is where all this theory meets the physical reality. And this stage makes or breaks whether the next stage contract will get signed or not. Because now the space is a raw concrete shell or just a legacy layout. But your objective now is to seamlessly connect everything that you discovered about them, their priorities, their eccentricities, their fundamentals, to the physical constraints of the site. And if you're concretizing this vision well, then you will be walking the site with a prospect, not doing ad hoc brainstorming, but actually talking about the points which will hit them hardest. Every structural change or layout iteration that you discover on site has to be anchored directly back to these five data points that you established in the previous stage of discovery. And if you start offering spontaneous, unmapped design solutions, you yourself are opening the floodgates to massive scope creep, and we haven't even reached the contract stage yet. Speaking of which, that's the next stage, contract execution or contract signing. At this stage, if the funnel has been executed correctly, the client's decision has already been made. This is not going to be a negotiation, it's simply setting mutual boundaries and mutual partnership into stone. You're ready to transition your studio away from operational chaos and implement this world class standard operating procedure? If so, then come talk to us at Immaculate Platform. Our enterprise SaaS platform is custom built specifically to standardize, monitor, and optimize the entire lifecycle from the first digital touchpoint to the final signed contract. And after that, it proceeds the project into its entire execution workflow, everything tied back to the objectives we've determined thus far. Go to calendly.com/immaculate platform to book a private operational audit and demo with us. Let's build something immaculate. Thank you very much.